Hello, welcome to Swiss Watch King and welcome to a new video segment on this show. As I love independent watches, I wanted to create these types of videos where I will be highlighting some of the watchmakers that I think should be on your radar. They produce only small quantities per year and the main focus is to create something that is special, well executed and beautifully decorated. The 5 watchmakers I will highlight today are Felipe Pikullik, Hodinky Berkus, Kikuchi Nakagawa, Remy Cools and also Théo Auffret. I made a list of many more, and if you have any suggestions, please leave a comment down below so we can shine the light on even more creative minds that deserve it. Independent watchmakers wouldn't exist if there were not a handful of watch collectors and enthusiasts that dared to take the journey with them at the very beginning. Today the market is more and more receptive to independent watchmaking, which wasn't the case even 5 years back. Imagine when in the old days at the end of the 90s, beginning of 2000s, brands like Vianney Halter, Uhrwerk, FP Journe, MB&F, Debutune, Richard Mille and others presented their watches. They weren't an immediate hit and accepted by the mass audience. Nowadays we look back and laugh and say to ourselves, why didn't I buy it earlier? But at the time it wasn't obvious. I'm really happy and thankful that we had those brave collectors and retailers who supported them, so today we can have exceptional brands and watches of all shapes and sizes to wear on our beautiful wrists. What also helped a lot is the Harry Winston Opus initiative led by Max Büsser, founder of MB&F, then CEO of Harry Winston Rare Timepieces, which gave a lot of small independent watchmakers at the time a platform and brought it to the mainstream. The first watchmaker I want to highlight is Felipe Pikullik. Last September I commissioned a unique piece for myself and here you can see some of the components. Of course I'll make a video about it so you guys can see the process as well as the watch under my camera. Felipe was born in '94 and the brand was founded in 2017. He's a young, passionate watchmaker who studied watchmaking in Glashütte, where A. Lange & Söhne, Moritz Grossmann and more high-end watch brands exist today. When I first discovered Felipe's watches online, I was surprised by the price of his creations. He uses a unitas movement which he beautifully decorates to very basic decoration techniques at the beginning because the price was so low. Now if you wanna buy the Sternenhimmel model, the price starts at 2,800 euros and up to a different price point depending on your wishes. If you want a fully engraved dial or different color or maybe a stone dial, of course the price will change. You have also 3 different movements available or 3 different movement finishings. I chose this one, which I can't wait to receive, and I especially chose a frosted finish with beveled edges. I like Felipe because he's a young guy, very ambitious. We spoke on the phone many times about my watch and also his future in general, and I can't wait to meet him in person. Felipe is still developing his own particular style, but I think since the beginning and in this only one short year that he really popped off on my radar, he really advanced. Then we have a brand from Japan that focuses on sleek timepieces with high-end finish and exquisitely made dials, hands and cases. I'm talking about Kikuchi Nakagawa. Created by Yusuke Kikuchi and Tomonari Nakagawa, both experts in their fields. Yusuke Kikuchi moved to Paris and graduated from the watchmaking school there. Afterwards, he worked for a local retailer in the restoration department and honed his skills. For those of you who follow independent watchmaking from Japan or in general, you might have seen Yusuke Kikuchi's chronometer, which features a Audemars Piguet VZSS movement, the same movement from Valet de Joux, which construction was also one of the inspirations behind the movement inside the Philippe for simplicity. Tomonari Nakagawa started off as a swordsmith, then turned to watchmaking, and after training in a watchmaking school, he worked for Citizen and later Precision Watch Tokyo, which might sound familiar if you like the watches of Hajime Asaoka, and his other more affordable company called Kurono Tokyo. They currently have 2 different models, the Ichimonji and the Murakumo, both inspired by the 1930s, 1950s dress watches, which the founders say is the golden age of mechanical wristwatches. The hands are made by Yuki Precision in Japan, the same company that works with Hajime Asaoka and others. Ichimonji roughly translates in straight line or single line, that's why you have the hands in such a straight line and beautifully beveled. The dial is also exquisitely made, a very thin case, and inside both of the models is a very workhorse-like movement, the washer micro rotor. The price of the Ichimonji model is $20,300 before tax. It's not an affordable watch, so to speak, but it's a very sleek design and the finish and the quality of it is exquisite. The Murakumo model is the one I would go for. I absolutely am in love with the design. I love the proportions, again, slim case like the Ichimonji. But this one has beautifully printed Breguet numerals. The quality is exquisite, it's printed in Switzerland, and the hands are superbly finished. It has a spade-shaped hour hand, and this is the one thing that just sold the watch for me. I absolutely love it. You have two options, a black or a white dial. For me personally, I would go with the white dial because I prefer it a bit more. But if you wear suits a lot, I would probably go with the black dial because it's more under the radar. But again, you can't miss with both of them. The price of the Murakumo is $21,000 US, slightly more than the Ichimonji, but again, because you have this beautiful spade-shaped hour hand, it's completely worth it. We leave Japan and go to the Czech Republic, where we talk about Hodinky Berkus. Ondřej Berkus is a young Czech watchmaker in his early 30s who started making watches in his early 20s. What I like about his watches is the rough creativity and attitude of really custom watches he makes. I spoke to a few collectors and Ondřej as well, and the process is basically that you tell him which complication and design you like and he'll try to make it happen. It's a very old school approach which I can't recall anyone doing like this today. From the whole movement until the casing, dial creation and finishing, his watches are really unique in the purest form. He's made a lot of different watches with various materials, from meteorite to Damascus, and also different complications like a retrograde date complication, power reserve, and also high-end complications like the perpetual calendar or even a tourbillon. His clients really choose which materials and complications to use. So for example, if I would commission a watch with him, I would either go very simple, a floating balance wheel on the dial, or maybe like a resonance or remontoir d'égalité or something cool like this. I would love a tourbillon, but I'm sure that affects the price a lot because the more complicated the watch, of course, the more time he needs to make it. If you're also a fan of knives, he makes those as well. Really cool ones. I love the one with the gears inside, so when you open and close it, it actually moves. Again, different materials, different wishes for different people. Definitely somebody to be on your radar. Pricing wise, this one is a bit more tough because it's so unique. So he literally makes a watch, calculates the price, you pay, and that's it. I also heard that it could go below $10,000 for a simple watch and up to tens of thousands of dollars for, of course, a more complicated movement. The more time he needs to spend on the watch, of course, the higher the price. For more accurate pricing, please contact him directly on Instagram at Hodinky Berkus. I'm gonna link all these watchmakers and all the social media accounts in the description below, so don't worry, you'll not miss anything. The next guy we're gonna talk about is, I think, a future legend. We're gonna talk about Remy Cools. The young French watchmaker was born in 1997. Yes, I feel super old now. And since the age of 11, he's been intrigued by watchmaking after paying a visit to a school in the Vallée de Joux. Of course, we know the Vallée de Joux for exquisite finishing and watchmaking. Remy created his own watch, which is called the Tourbillon Subscription, a watch and concept inspired by a great watchmaker Breguet. Subscription watches were not common and afterwards mainstreamed by Breguet, and was the concept of ordering a custom watch, similar to Hodinky Berkus. With Breguet you had to pay a certain amount beforehand, and when the watch was finished you paid up the rest. Pretty standard nowadays. After becoming one of the best apprentices in France and completing a prestigious watchmaking school in France, on the border with Switzerland, Remy actually won the Young Talent competition at the SIHH in 2018. Remy created a beautiful table clock with a tourbillon, which has now the same dial construction like this modern wristwatch. In the same year he finished his tourbillon wristwatch, which took a lot of work, around 1000 man-hours, mostly by hand, and he joined Grubel Forsey to later work on the handmade One watch in Le Chatfond. The handmade One watch, beautiful concept, great watch, super popular. Very small amount were made, but exquisitely finished. I love Remy's watch because it's very 3D. So the tourbillon bridge is beautifully finished. It reminds me of just Breguet design. I love how the dial is focused at 12 o'clock. It's silvered and also hand engraved. You have Breguet style hands which are blued, and on the case peg you have also a special winding mechanism. So on one flap you wind the watch, if you open up the second flap you can set the time. This way you eliminate the crown from the side and you have a slick design overall. On the wrist I never saw the watch, I never saw the watch in person, but from the photos I think it looks very good on the wrist. It's well proportioned, it's slightly high because it has this 3D appeal, but of course that's something also that you're happy that you have it. The price of the watch is 85,000 euros before taxes. He made 9 pieces and I'm pretty sure they all sold out. I think Remy's watches in the future, whatever he makes, is gonna become a classic. If you remember back in the day and if you look at the first FP Journe tourbillon pieces, you will maybe think, oh damn, this guy now, if you pay 85k for a Remy Cools watch, in the future might be worth 2, 3, 400,000. You never know. That's always a risk with independent watch brands. Some of them skyrocket, some of them even disappear. So if you want to buy an independent watchman in this price category, I would advise you that you're really sure that you have the financial background to back it up in case something happens. Like I said at the beginning, nowadays it's more and more accepted, and the prices of even these rare and exquisite timepieces go up. We're gonna stay in France now, and the next watchmaker we're gonna talk about is Théo Auffret. Another French watchmaking prodigy. At only 25 years old, he's created a stunning watch all made by hand. His watch, which is called the Tourbillon à Paris, journey started when he saw a FP Journe pocket watch when he used to work in Paris in 2012. His breakthrough came in 2018 at the Young Talent competition, again led by FP Journe, when he was one of the winners. The watch he competed with was an unfinished version of the Tourbillon à Paris. The watch is also made on a subscription basis, meaning that you can customize it as long as Theo likes the idea, of course. Theo isn't afraid and against new technologies. Everything is hand finished by him, and also some bridges and plates are cut with modern CNC machines, which for me is fine. The watch has a very specific look. At 12 o'clock you have the winding barrel, which is held by a beautiful bridge. At 7 o'clock you have the tourbillon, exquisitely finished of course. And at 5 o'clock you have the hour sub-dial. This is a regulator style watch because you have the sub-dial for the hours and the minutes float around the dial with the long, beautifully finished curved minute hand. The finishing of the back is also something I haven't seen yet. You have mirror polish screws, beautiful beveling on the bridges, and as well as all the components. I think that Theo has a nice distinct form and distinct design already. Being a young watchmaker, this is pretty remarkable. If you want to buy one of the watches, it's gonna cost you 108,000 euros, excluding VAT, and only 20 will be made over a span of 4 years, which will lead to a time of 10 months from order to delivery. I think that all of these guys have a bright future in front of them. Remy Cools and also Felipe Pikullik just opened up a new workshop. Theo is getting up there. Kikuchi Nakagawa guys are amazing. And also I think Hodinky Berkus, I can't wait to see him in person. I heard he's a very cool guy and I can't wait to see the watches. We will have a few of those guys on the channel in this year, so don't worry. I'm working on getting them here so I can put all the watches under my microscope and under the camera and show you exactly how they look like. It would mean a lot to me, and also it would mean a lot to the watchmakers if you follow them on social media, Instagram of course, and also if you check out the website. If you should have some questions, just let them know. I'm sure they're gonna be really happy with answering all of them for you. If you have a friend who likes independent watchmakers and didn't know these watch brands, share this video with him, like and comment. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you next week.